Hi, I'm Nishant Mehra and I'll take your class on budget constraint. So, budget constraint क्या है? मान लेते हैं कि जो कंज्यूमर है वो दो गुड्स कंज्यूम कर रहा है X1 एंड X2. क्या प्राइसेस हैं इनके? P1 एंड P2. सो उसका जो एक्सपेंडिचर है X1 पे वो कितना रहेगा? P1 X1. That is what his expenditure going to be on X1 if he is consuming X1 units and the price of each unit of X1 is P1, so the value of the expenditure or the value of the expenditure on X1 is going to be P1 X1. Similarly, X2 is what he is going to consume, right? So for good 2 he is going to consume X2 units and each unit of good 2 is going to cost P2. So this is the expenditure which he is going to make on good 2. So the expenditure which he is making on good 1 plus expenditure which he is making on good 2, it should be less than equal to what his income is, right? So whatever expenditure he is making, that expenditure has to be less than equal to his income. So the set of all those bundles is what is the budget set. So if you just want to, and let's also do budget line at the same time. So those points which are going to exactly exhaust the income is what budget line is, right? Those points on this budget set which is going to exactly exhaust the income is what the budget line is. So you have P1x1 plus P2x2 equals to M. So you have x1 and x2 with you. So let's say if x1 is 0, then you have P2 x2 equals to M. So x1 is 0, P2 x2 equals to M, x2 equals to M by P2. x2 is 0, x1 is M by P1. ठीक है बेटा? So you have M by P1 here and you have M by P2 here. So these are what your horizontal and vertical intercepts of the budget line. You join them together, you get this as the budget line, and this area, this shaded region, this entire area including that line, red budget line, is the budget set, right? This entire area is what the budget set is, and this line is the budget line. So this shaded area is what budget set is, and this line is what budget line is, right? How do you get the slope of the budget line? Slope of the budget line is this coefficient of y-axis upon coefficient of the x-axis. So what will that slope be? Your M by P2 upon M by P1 with minus sign. So it is minus M by P2 into P1 by M. So this M and M will get cancelled out. This will be minus P1 by P2. So that is what the slope of the budget line is. Well, as far as the slope is concerned, this slope has several meanings also, right? So one of the meaning of the slope is that this is also telling you the opportunity cost. So if you're consuming, let's say, more of good 1, then you have to give up some units of good 2 also. And you can also get the slope in some other way. So for example, you have P1x1 plus P2x2 equals to M, right? So what you can do is that you can just totally differentiate this. So you can just write since your income is not changing, so just write dm equal to 0. So there will be some increase in, let's say, if you're increasing x1, then x2 has to fall. So it is what P1 dx1 minus P2 dx2. So you have what? Dx2 by dx1. Dx2 by dx1 is minus P1 by P2. So that's what you have it here. So that's what the slope of the budget line, right? And this is also called the opportunity cost, because if you're not consuming x2, if you want to consume one more unit of x1, you have to give up some units of x2, right? So opportunity cost of consuming good 1 is that if you want to have more of good 1, you have to give up some amount of consumption of good 2. So that is what the opportunity cost of good 1 is. Now you look like, just take a one example. Just take a one example which says this. So let us say you have two goods, x1 and x2, and the prices are, let's say, 1, 2, and income is 4, right? So when you just want to draw this, so the budget line looks like 1x1 plus 2x2 equals to 4, right? You want to draw this. You want to draw this. So just think about it. x1, x2. x1 is 0, x2 is 2, x2 is 0, x1 is 4. x1, x2. x1 is 0, x2 is 2, x2 is 0, x1 is 4. You join them by a line segment. You get this as the line segment out here, and this is what your budget line is. Now supposedly, if income increases, let us say income increases to 6, right? Income increases to 6, right? Then let us say, how does this function? So if your income is going to increase to 6, so this will become what? 1 into x1 plus 2 into x2 equals to 6. Again, just think about it. x1 is 0, x2 is 3, x2 is 0, x1 is 6. Okay? So this is, let's say, 3 here, and this is, let's say, 6 here. Huh? And so what happens is, so there is a parallel shift of the budget line out here in case if the income is increasing. So this green budget line is telling you that there is a parallel shift of the budget line out here. Say now, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Say P1 dash changes to 2, P2 is still same as 2, and income is still same as the original income. So your budget constraint becomes 2x1 plus 2x2 equals to 4, right? Let's see how the budget constraint would look like. When x1 is 0, x2 is 2. When x2 is 0, x1 is 2, right? So you have this thing here. So when price of good 1 is increasing, should I use different ink? Maybe. Right. So if price of good 1 is increasing, so what happens? The budget line becomes steeper. So this violet budget line, as you guys could see, this becomes steeper. So this orange budget line is, this red budget line is the original budget line. This green budget line is when the income is increasing. So there is a parallel outward shift if there is an increase in income. If there is a decrease in income, there will be a parallel downward shift. What about this guy? when price of good one increases, budget line becomes steeper. When price of good one increases, budget line becomes steeper in case of as compared to the original budget line. What about if say P1 dash goes to half and P2 is same, income is same as the original income. So your budget constraint becomes 1 by 2 x1 plus 2x2 equals to 4. You with me? So x1 is 0, x2 is 2. x2 is 0, half x1 equals to 4, so x1 is equal to 8. Right, I need to extend this line then. So what has happened out here is that when x2 is 0, x1 becomes 8. When x1 is 0, x2 becomes 4. So what do you have? Let us say I get this one. And this becomes the line. So this is a flatter one. So this is flatter, this orange budget line. This is flatter as compared to the original one, right? So you have seen all the cases when there is an increase in income, when the price of good one falls, when the price of good two or good one increases, right? You can also do the cases when price of good one increases, price of good two also increases, the increase in price of good one is more than the increase in price of good two. You can do those cases, those simple. So this is one of the basic things. What else is given to you in the chapter is now supposedly, so I can also put this in terms of I put the tax, right, or I give a subsidy, right, then also it will increase or decrease the price, let's say. So let's say I give a tax, right, so I impose a tax. So earlier you were paying the tax, you were not paying any tax, so the price of good one was just 1. Now you have to pay a per unit tax of 1. So the quantity tax is 1 and you will be paying, now the price of good one would be 2, right? So the budget line would become steeper out here. So what happens in case of taxes? What happens in case of taxes? So you have you can have, I think, quantity tax, you can also have a lump sum tax, you can have those issues also out here. So let's look at taxes in little detail. Let's talk about taxes. Now taxes could be, they could be quantity tax, they could be lump sum tax also. So let us say you put a tax of T per unit, right, on good one. Let us say you put a tax of rupees T per unit on good one. Then what happens? Then the earlier what was the expenditure which you were making on x1, P1 x1. But now for every unit of x1 which you are consuming, you also have to pay the tax. So the expenditure increases by this much amount. The expenditure which you are making on P2 is same, which is on x2 is same, which is P2 x2 is equal to M. So this could be written as P1 plus T x1 plus P2 x2 M. So what has happened out here is, in very simple terms, it has increased the price of x1. So the budget line will become steeper, right, as compared to the original budget line, So I think I've drawn it here, right, as you guys could see it here. So this is the original budget line, M by P2, M by P1. Now supposedly if you have this guy, P1 plus T x1 plus P2 x2 equals to M. So when x2 is 0, then x1 is M upon P1 plus T, right? Now since the denominator is increasing, so x1 become M upon P1 plus T when x2 is 0, right? So naturally, since denominator is more, so this entire fraction is lesser than m by p1. And you have m by p2 out here. You have m by p2 out here. So what has happened here is that the budget line has shifted inwards, as you guys could see in this case. So this is just like this. And in case of lump sum subsidy, what would have happened? So if you were given the subsidy of, let us say, S units, so tax was rupees T per unit, subsidy is rupees S per unit, right? So, sorry. So earlier the expenditure which you were making on X1 is P1 X1, but now for every unit of X1 you're consuming, government is also giving you subsidy. So that expenditure is getting reduced, which is SX1. Expenditure which you're making on X2 is P2 X2 equals to M. Equals to M. So you have what? P1 minus S X1 plus P2 X2 equals to M. Plus P2 X2 equals to M. So now if you just look at this, what happens is, so when there is no change in the intercept for X2, because when X1 is 0, X2 is still M by P2. But when X2 is 0, then X1 becomes what? When X2 is 0, X1 is M minus M upon P1 minus S. So the denominator has reduced, so the entire fraction has increased. So what has happened out here is that in this case, the budget line will shift. I mean it will pivot outwards, right? So it becomes like this. This is your M upon P1 minus S. You with me? Right? Also, there could also have been the case where it is the lump sum tax or the lump sum subsidy. So let us say I have lump sum tax. Lump sum tax is irrespective of the units which you are consuming. If you are consuming it, you have to give. If you're consuming the good, you have to give this tax. So it becomes what? P1 X1. And if you're consuming X1, you have to pay this tax. Plus P2 X2 equals to M, right? So you could have also written this as P1 X1 plus P2 X2 equals to M minus T. So what has happened out here is that the income has reduced by the amount of the tax, right? So when X1 is 0, X2 is M minus T upon P2. When X2 is 0, X1 is M minus T upon P1, right? So what has happened out here is that the budget line, it has shrinked inwards. Something like this. So as compared to the older budget line, it has shrinked inwards. I wanted to draw this as parallel one. Okay, assume this is parallel. And this is, let's say, this M minus T upon P2. So I just wanted to make a point. So in case of lump sum tax, what happens? That the budget line, it shifts inwards. It's almost as equivalent as decreasing your income. If there would have been a lump sum subsidy, lump sum subsidy, the effect would have been to increase the income, because in case if you are consuming it, then the government is going to pay some subsidy to you. So the expenditure is this, right? And your expenditure, it reduces by S, plus the expenditure on x2 is just P2 x2 equals to M. So it is P1 x1 plus P2 x2 equals to M by S. So x1 is 0, x2 is M plus S upon P2. x2 is 0, x1 is M plus S upon P2. So again, as compared to this red budget line, let us say you draw, I don't know which budget line, let's say this one, and this is a parallel shift outwards, something like this. Okay? So this is what? When x1 is 0, x2 is this thing. When this is it, this is M plus S upon P1. So this is M plus S upon P2. This is M plus S upon P1. So this entire analysis is done just using this diagram, nothing else. So, and you can also have the ad valorem taxes, right, or ad valorem subsidies. So what you can do is just this guy. So ad valorem tax. So it is a proportionate tax. So I mean earlier it was, so it's a tax on the value, let's say. Earlier you were in case of the quantity tax, so how many whatsoever is the amount of the quantity which you are consuming, there is a tax on that. In case of ad valorem tax, what happens is that this is a tax on the value, let's say. Not let's say, it is the tax on the value. So what happens out here is this. So let's say you put the ad valorem tax of tau on x1. So P1 x1 is the expenditure on x1. And you put a tax of tau on the value, which is this. Expenditure on x2 is just P2 x2 equals to M. One plus tau P1 x1. Oh, sorry. 1 plus tau P1 x1 plus P2 x2 equals to M. So this is about the ad valorem tax. I mean, you can also have the ad valorem subsidy, and you can have this thing also. Now let us talk about the cases where there is a rationing, right? That is, there is a rationing, and we'll also talk about the kinked budget line and the food stamp program. So what is the kind of the budget line which you will face in case of the food stamp program, and one more kinked budget line. Okay, let's talk about rationing. You can also have the case of rationing. So what will be the budget set is going to look like in this case. So supposedly you have this. Government is going to ration good one, right? And the way it is going to ration is this, that nobody can buy more than, let's say, 3 units of good one. So nobody can buy more than 3 units of more than 3 units of good one. right? So the question which arises is that how is the budget constraint going to look like? So let us say that the prices of the two goods are P1, P2, which is 2 and 3, and say your income is 12, right? So your budget constraint looks like 2x1 plus 3x2 equals to 12. So how does the budget set is going to look like here? So first of all, when x1 is 0, 3x2 is equal to 12. Okay, here is x1, here is x2. When x1 is 0, 3x2 equals to 12, x2 equals to 4, right? When x2 is 0, 2x1 equals to 12, x1 equals to 6. So if you just have a look at this guy, so this budget constraint looks like this. Now when you have the rationing, then you cannot buy more than 3 units of good one. So if you were able to spend your entire income on good one, you can still buy 6 units. You could have bought 6 units, but now you cannot buy more than 3 units of good one. So what will happen? That there is a rationing here. There is a rationing here at 3. So if there is a rationing here at 3, it means that this some part of the budget set is just chopped off. So there is no which color I should use? Okay. So only this thing remains as your budget set. Only this thing remains as your budget set. So, right, this thing remains as your budget set. This is the case of the rationing, right? Well, let's talk about the food stamp program also. You've been food stamp program. So how does this look like? Let me just give you an example which says this. Okay, suppose there are two goods. X is food, right? And consumer receives a food stamp and this food stamp is worth 5 units of food. Right, food stamp is worth 5 units of food. So you just show this food stamp and you will get 5 units of food, right? Assume, you can assume Px equals to, let's say, 10, Py equals to 5, and income is 100, right? So draw the budget line. That's what they've asked you. Draw the budget line in this. So the main thing which you have to understand in the food stamp program is that the first 5 units of the food, they are free. You do not have to spend anything on food for the first 5 units of food. Of course, if you want to buy more than 5 units of the food, then you will have to spend. But for the first 5 units of food, you do not have to spend anything. So you have what, beta? You have this. You have this guy. I wanted to write one line also. Although I have told you that the first 5 units of food are free to the consumer, but after 5 units of the food, you have to pay. So, given the prices, the budget line would be 10x plus 5y equals to 100. This would have been the budget line. You have x here, you have y here. If you just want to draw the budget line, how will it look like? When x is 0, 5y equals to 100, y equals to 20. You can buy 20 units, right? When y is 0, your 10x equals to 100, x equals to 10. You can buy 10 units out here. You could have bought 10 units out here. so sorry. Let's say here is 20. Yeah, is this right now? Yeah. So y is 20 and x is 10. This is without any food stamp program or anything. This is just a normal thing. But supposedly, if you can buy, if you're given 5 units of food for free, you do not have to pay anything for the first 5 units. You do not have to pay anything for the first 5 units. So basically what they're trying to say is this, that your something like this. This is not straight. Let me just draw this for you. For the first 5 units, you do not have to pay anything. But, I mean, this even, so you can probably say that this 520 is on your budget also. For the first 5 units, you're not paying out anything. Not paying out anything. But then afterwards, you will have to pay. So if you will have to pay for the first, for the other units, the maximum what you could have bought is, including those 5 units, you would have bought 15. If you were spending your entire income on X. Right? If you were spending your entire income on X, you could have got 15 out here. Are you with me? So let me explain this once more. This guy, this is the original budget line. This one is the first 5 units free. Units of food free. This is beta. What is this? This guy is budget line with food stamp program. Budget line with food stamp program. You with me? So you could have started from here. In order to reach till here, I mean, you can still buy 20 units of Y and you can still have 5 units of food. You do not have to pay anything for food. So, so your budget line is shifted out this way. And even after getting 5 units of food, if you still want to spend entire income on food, you can buy 10 more units of food. So you will jump from 5 to 15 there. So you can join this line here and this becomes the budget line with food stamp program. Let's do one more. Then you have quantity discount, or in this case you have again the kinked budget line. Although the kinked budget line is here also, the kinked budget line is here also, but how do you write this? Okay, suppose there are two goods, x1 and x2, and the price of the good 2 is constant at 1. So price of good 2 is 1. Income is, let's say, 100, right? Also, till 10 units of good 1, price of good 1 is 3, let's say. When I'm writing 3, or should I write 2? Because then just calculating this will be irritating. Okay, this price of good 2 is this, right? And for more than 10 units, the price of good one is 1. For more than 10 units, the price of good one is 1. You with me? Okay. So try to solve this first of all yourself. Draw the budget line. So how do you tackle this guy? So for x1 which is lying between 0 to 10, for x1 which is lying between 0 to 10, the price of good one is 2. But if you want to buy more than 10, the price of good one is 1. So how do you write this guy? So for 0 is less than equal to x1 is less than equal to 10, let's say. The budget line would be what? 2x1 plus 1 into x2 equals to 100, right? Equals to 100. This is the budget line for till 10 units, right? But if you want to buy more than 10 units, what will happen? Achha, one more thing. If you are going beyond 10 units, it means that you would have purchased 10 units of x1. If you would have purchased 10 units of x1, then you have to subtract that expenditure from the total income, right? So please write, once 10 units of x1 are purchased, so expenditure is done. How much is the expenditure which is done on good one then? Sorry, 2 into 10. That is 20. Okay, they are already spent. So this is, so expenditure this is already made. ठीक है बेटा? This is already made. So what is the remaining income? You've already spent, 20 rupees on buying 10 units of X1. So how much is spent? 100 minus 20. So remaining income is rupees 100 minus rupees 20, which is rupees 80. So the question is that for x1 greater than 10, x1 greater than 10, what is the budget constraint? Price of x1 is 1 into x1. Price of x2 is 1 into x2 is equal to 80. Is equal to 80. You with me? Now, if you want to draw this budget constraint, what will you do? Right. So you have x1 out here. You have x2 out here. Let me just draw the initial budget constraint. What was your initial budget constraint, beta? You have just drawn that, which was what? 2x1 plus x2 equals to 100, right? This one, right? This is 2x1 plus x2 equals to 100. Let me just write that. So when x1 is 0, x2 is 100. When x2 is 0, x1 is 50. Okay, so how does it look like? Right? Okay, now beyond 10 units, what happens? So you have 10 units here. Now you just tell me one thing. if you were buying 10 units, then in this budget line, how many units of X2 you could have bought? This would be 80 somewhere here. This will be 80 somewhere here, right? And then beyond 80, what happens? Your budget constraint becomes this guy, which is x1 plus x2 equals to 80. So beyond 80, your budget constraint looks like this, which is x1 plus x2 equals to 80. Achha, tell me one thing. What will be the intercept of the x1 axis? So you will start with this, right? So if x1 is 0, x2 is 80, so that is this point. When x2 is 0, x1 is 80. So you will add these many points here. You will add these many points here. Right. So how many units you could have bought now? Right. So if x1 is 0, x2 is 80. And when x2 is 0, x1 is 80. Right. So you could have bought how many units after this, right? So you were here at this particular point, you were consuming 10 units of x1. Now beyond this, you could have bought your 80 more units of x1. So this is 10 plus 80 would have been 90, right? So, and other thing. So the slope of the budget line here, what is the slope of the budget line? This budget line, 2x1 plus x2 equals to 100. Slope is equal to minus p1 by p2, which is equal to 2. What about the slope of this budget line? It becomes flatter out here, which is equal to 1, right? So this is the thing, that is this is your kinked budget line out here. You can have many more questions. I mean, you can have kinks in the budget line in various ways. So just now start reading the chapter. You should read Varian in between the lines, right? And my advice to all of you is, don't just read Varian. Just reading Varian is a very good thing for the basic course. But if you want to go one step ahead, also start reading Variant workbook, right? So Variant workbook is an excellent book, and you should have both the books with you, Variant and Variant workbook, and at least do 0 and 1 level problems of Variant workbook, right? It will give you a lot more applications. So that is the thing. Okay, thank you, beta.